Just like the DC animated series, same goes with the Mortal Kombat animated series. I won't understand why they couldn't adapt this Mortal Kombat Scorpion's Revenge and adapted this storyline and put out a live action directly from this. I will never understand. Hi, welcome to That's a Wrap, the channel where I review TV shows, movies, and movie trailers. Today's movie that I will be reviewing is the animated movie Mortal Kombat Scorpion's Revenge. If you're not familiar with this movie, consider this your spoiler warning. What a great movie. What a good movie. The story, the pacing, everything about this movie. From the score, I was invested. The emotions, they kept the characters pretty much within like 5 or 6 of them, and it was coherent. It wasn't by any shape or form even close to the clusterfuck that was the Mortal Kombat live action movie, where we had characters that weren't even in the game. And this movie was a perfect illustration of how you could keep the focus on the core characters, introduce characters from other video games, not the originals, and still have a super compelling story that grabs your imagination, that puts you at the edge of your seat. And that the live action movie was almost 2 hours. This was an hour and 20 minutes. Let's just call it an hour. And they managed to do more in this 1 hour than the live action did in an hour and 50 minutes. And even that hour and 50 minutes seemed like it was squandered and wasted away. But I can't recommend this movie enough. If you are a Mortal Kombat fan and want to be engulfed in something pretty amazing, check out this movie. By far, as far as the Mortal Kombat universe, by far, and I'll be honest, I don't want to make it seem like I've watched a ton of animated movies dealing with Mortal Kombat, but I've watched a couple, and this by far, I think, for me, is the top of the top. So normally I review this good, the bad, and the ugly. I have no ugly. This movie was that good. So we'll go over the bad, which was minimal. The animation, some of the animation was a little whoppy, but I think that was by the design due to the great animation style that this movie had. And I have that up at the top of the good. The rating, it was rated R, so they were able, and that's also a thing. I think the Mortal Kombat live action was rated R, and so it's the same rating. And yet this movie, the animated, was more gory, was more along the lines with the actual game. How they can't make it. I don't know what Warner Brothers is doing. Honestly, I don't know. I already have my grief with Warner Brothers lately, what they've been doing. But is there no one over there that's ahead of both properties, the live action or the animated, that you guys can't sit in a room and see what ideas have already been done and say, look, this has a great response by the fans. How about we give them this? As opposed to, oh, I want to be unique. I want to be a genius. I want to be, and give us the crap that we had to sit through for an hour and 50 minutes. I mean, I don't know. Again, what are they trying to, drive their company into the ground? But anyways, the animation with an R rating, giving those, and I think there was a movie like that when they cracked the bone, they went inside the body and showed us the skeleton. I can't remember exactly which one. There's probably a few movies that have done that, but it translates so good in animation. I loved it. It was a mix of anime style cartoon with American animation, and the blend worked so good. You felt like you were watching a kung fu movie mixed with the Mortal Kombat lore, the Mortal Kombat legend. And again, it was just so good as far as the animation style, and it not only the animation style, it was so good as far as the voice acting was so on point, was so the pacing of the voice acting, the way they were working off of each other was so outstanding that I think that the studio or director, whoever was, maybe they were all in the room, but it was so quick, so it felt like you were watching a real movie when you know that these. I mean, obviously it's animation, but they paced it like if it was a legit conversation as opposed to other projects that I've seen and reviewed in on this channel. If you go back and check out some of my reviews on animated movies, mostly on the DC side, you will hear how I complain about the pacing when someone's talking and there's a pause, and then a couple seconds later there's another pause. The fact that it felt like very organic conversation, the fear, the battles, and all that stuff, it was exactly the way you would hear it in normal speech, was spot on. So I could keep on and just break down the brilliancy that I thought this movie was. And for me, the rating is an A, not A plus, because there was some flaws. No movie is without no sin or no flaws. But nothing lower than A. Just pure excitement. I was shocked at some of the scenes that they managed to pull off in a animation, but it held so true to the Mortal Kombat lore. It wasn't too fantastical as that ridiculous ass freaking bridge in the live action. The Where they fought felt like a real place that you could, again, I know it's animation, but it wasn't like taking you to some crazy ledge that they were all meeting on. It felt like, okay, and they even tell you that when they get into this island, it's in the middle of Earth and it's in between realms. So it's not really on Earth, but it's not set off in some fantasticals in the middle of it. And you're like, yeah, that's more or less, running along the actual game lore. And you respect that because they respect the source material. Everyone's saying about the live action how the live action respected the source material. No, it didn't. It played tropes of the Mortal Kombat universe and of the series. It wasn't true to the series, especially with introducing some character that none of us care about. And why they waited to, in the live action to show us Johnny Cage, where we saw in this animated movie how if you make Johnny Cage correct and if you portray him correctly, how much he could enhance the storytelling and make it that much more brilliant. I enjoyed all of them. I enjoyed Sonya Blade's character. I enjoyed Johnny Cage, even the Jax character. But in this movie, he doesn't even have the arms yet. His arms get blown off. So he plays a very simple motivation for Sonya. But all of them, like I said, even Sub-Zero, they make Sub-Zero in the live action like this, and I get it. He's a very popular character, but in this one, he was just a side, a side thought. He wasn't even that. He was big in the beginning in the fights and in the opening scene, but when he actually comes up later on in the third act, he gets beaten so quickly by Scorpion. And that's the beauty of this Mortal Kombat, which they can't get it right apparently in the live action, is that you don't have to imagine some other character. Oh, we wanted to take the crowd in a hero's journey. We could do that perfectly fine with the characters that have already been established over decades ago. And you could make a compelling story just with those characters alone. Why they choose to disappoint and not hold true to the source material, I will never understand. Maybe Hollywood always want to be pretentious and want to put their own spin on it, which is annoying as heck. Stick to the source material, please. But anyway, so again, I think this movie is brilliant. I can't recommend it enough. If you're a Mortal Kombat fan, a good animation fan, a good story, a good thriller, a good just a good all around well performed, well acted, well animated. Just a great story. Go check out Mortal Kombat Scorpion's Revenge. I highly recommend it. But hey, those are just my thoughts. I would love to hear your thoughts down in the comments. And like always, that's a wrap.